Over the years, I've played a lot of vibey, relaxation type games. Some of the titles that come to mind are A Short Hike, and I've played all of the Frog Detective games. I would say they fit this category as well. And just last year, I played a game at launch called Lil Gator Game. If you haven't watched that video, Lil Gator Game is a vibey adventure in the same vein about growing up, but this time we're not skateboarding around and killing monsters made out of cardboard. This time we're dropping into Paradise Marsh, and we are exploring this marsh, reading poems, catching bugs, and talking to some stars. So if you want to join me on this vibey adventure, welcome to the Paradise Marsh. The game begins with you looking out into a distant field of stars, and it gives you a constellation you need to follow with your controller or mouse, and it took me a simply embarrassing amount of time to figure out what they wanted me to do here. But once I made the switch over from controller to keyboard and mouse, I really thought that this was going to be a controller game, but I liked it on keyboard and mouse a lot better. We see these stars begin to fall out of the sky. Now there were quite a few stars up here, some pink and some yellow, but they all fall out of the sky just the same. And down comes one item, just one, a net. Not just any net, a bug catching net, and it comes right down into our hands. Very interesting. So just like that, we're into it. We're in kind of a sprawling area where we can wander around to our heart's content, and there are tons of points of interest located all around. While we wander around and take in all of the scenery, we also find that there are some pretty sharp divides as you move into different biomes around. So this is kind of a sprawling world where you loop back in on yourself a lot of times. Some of the points of interest also include little challenges you can take on, things you can work on, and we find the first one of them here in this snow biome where we can put together a snowman, and well, there's no takesies backsies, we kind of messed this one up. We hit a tree stump with our net as we walk by, and out comes our first little friend and the main bulk of this game, the animal hunting / collection feature. We catch ourselves a little toad here, and he gets added to our journal, and we see that we make a little bit of progress on a future achievement. Next up, we creep our way out into the water and catch ourselves a dragonfly. So same thing, add it to the book, and see that we made a little bit more progress on that achievement. In classic collection game fashion, we find that some animals only appear in certain biomes, some only appear at certain times of day, and at nighttime, we meet our first nighttime friend, the cricket. Our second nighttime friend is not too far to follow, as we manage to creep up and catch the very, very slow-moving snail, add him to the journal as well. One more friend we meet at night is a little bit too big to fit in our bug-catching net, the poetry-reading owl, and poetry is a pretty common theme throughout this game. We catch one final first night friend, often confused with Mr. Toad. This time, it is Mr. Frog added to the journal. I mentioned before that poetry is a pretty common thing to find around this game, and another way that we find it in addition to the poetry birds is these little bottles that float around in the water that display different notes kind of about our journey and about life as a whole. The second of the poetry birds is this crow here. He tells us crowetry, if you will. We find a hive with a bee floating around it, and we capture that guy, adding the bee to our journal collection as well. But I couldn't be satisfied with just one bee. I knocked the hive down, getting completely swarmed by bees, which forced me to close my eyes, and we respawn, getting our first achievement, Sweet Tooth. During the next nighttime, we find the classic middle of summer nighttime animal, the firefly, adding it to the collection and our journal. As we continue wandering around catching all of the bugs that we see, we find that when we catch our fourth cricket, it highlights in our journal, and we can't seem to find crickets out in the wild anymore. Very interesting. We chase after some dark shapes in the water and find best friend of either frog or toad, I'm not really sure, little tadpole. During the next night phase, we can see that these mysterious pillars that we see scattered throughout the world are glowing, so we go to click on it, and we see that a beam of light shoots up into the sky, and all of the animals that we've captured so far are here in star form. If we click on it, we can have a conversation with each of the spirits that we've captured so far, and once you've captured all of the given spirits for the singular star entity, like 3 for this bee here, that animal gets returned to the universe and we don't have to capture any more of them. So with our path clear in front of us now to return all of the stars to the sky, we redouble our efforts to capture all of the insects, adding the beetle to our collection. As we're out exploring around looking for more nighttime animals, we see that there are these purple kind of spirit orb things floating around. And we pick them up and they go into a pillar of light of the same color. There's actually 4 of these throughout the game, this same process of grabbing the orbs, and once you've collected all 5, they go back into the pillar, you click on the pillar, and out comes this bipedal animal thing. These are one of the only people you can talk to in this game, and they each give you a little item and little quest. In this case, it is a camera we can take pictures with. The blue light beam leads us to the saddest accounting bear you've ever met, who gives us a fishing rod, which unlocks fishing for us, where we can collect a lot of different fish in different biomes. As we explore the swamp biome a little bit more, we find the very majestic looking monarch butterfly. That's 1 more added to the collection, only 2 more to go. I mentioned earlier that there are some minor quests you can complete in this game that will give you some small rewards. The first one that we really take the time to take on is the rehanging the clothes on the clothesline, which gives us a little instrument we can play. Nice! Back in the pine forest biome, we find the orange light spirit, this tall bipedal fox. They gave us a pretty easy quest that we can complete pretty quick here. There is some graffiti on the nearby radio tower that they give us a water gun to go wipe out. So we go wash out that graffiti, and then when we bring back to the fox to tell them the good news, they tell us that they kind of miss it, and they're gonna go sit by a big tree to ponder this thought that they're having now. So maybe we can meet up with them later? We really messed up on building that snowman earlier, so now when we find ourselves back in the area with the 3 snowmen, we build them all right, we get all the parts added in just how you would expect, and we earn our second achievement of the game, Holiday Spirit, for putting together all 3 of the snowmen. At this point in the game, I learned that there's different plants you can find sitting around the world that you can pick up and eat that allow you to get different powers. This is how I can finally catch the pesky spider that I've been struggling to get in my collection for so long added to the journal. On this same night, I find the final of the light spirits, this time a pink raccoon-like creature? Cat, maybe? Not entirely sure. But they're very sad, and they give us a radio that will allow us to track down some radio waves and maybe find something. The final insect that we track down and add to our collection is another night dweller, this time hiding under streetlights that you can find around the world, the moth. And this is all of the animals collected, and we earn the achievement Entomologist for our troubles. Looking for stuff to touch, I find a little toy duck and also a telephone. And I can't seem to do anything with the telephone yet, but maybe someday. I noticed that there was an item hidden up in a nearby treehouse, so I take one of the mushrooms to try to get a little bit of a boost, but this isn't your average mushroom. It gives me our 4th achievement of the game, Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy. Great Yoshi reference there. And we get a very trippy effect. Next up, we got a little bit into the fishing mechanic of this game. There's basically circles in the water where you can see fish are swimming around. Cast your line in and you catch a fish pretty quick, honestly. You throw it back and then it gets logged in your fishing journal, and there's 6 different fish in different biomes you have to find. We made sure to pick up every single one of the stories in a bottle that we could, eventually finding lucky number 13, and that gives us the achievement Chronicler, and we get this cool animation with all of them unlocked and a nice little drawing added to our journal. Another thing we need to keep our eye out for as we explore around the isle is these radio towers that we can scan with our radio, unlocking new music and stations for us. We finally find the 3rd poetry bird as well, this time a blue jay. Taking a quick flip through the journal at this point, we can see that we're pretty much done here. We're only missing 1 butterfly, and we could pretty much end the game once we get that butterfly, but we'll do a little bit of looking around before we call it quits. We find a soccer ball out on one of the little hill areas that we painstakingly dribble all the way over to a shopping cart that we kick the ball into and earn the achievement All-Star Player. In the flower field biome, we find that there are some wild daisies we can pick and play the He Loves Me Not game with. So after quite a few tries actually, we finally managed to get the He Loves Me pull, earning our 7th achievement, romantic. We use our water gun from the graffiti side quest to put out a fire and earn the achievement Fire Safety, because only we can prevent forest fires. Honestly, this achievement took me much longer than I thought it would. We finally tracked down the 4th of the poetry birds, and after we finished talking to them, we earned the achievement Poetry Enthusiast. While walking around looking for stuff to do, we earned the achievement Wanderer for exploring 5 miles or 8.04672 kilometers. It actually took me quite a while to finally track down the 6 biomes and find 6 sources of water that had fish in them, to finally get all of the fish caught. And once we get them all added to the fishing section of our journal, we get out and our rod begins glowing, eventually turning golden, and we earn the achievement Art of the Rod. Achievement number 12 is the absolute hardest / most annoying achievement in this game, in my opinion. So you need to take 3 lily pads and jump on them consecutively without touching the ground in the middle. So you would read that and think that you could probably just jump up and down on 1 lily pad 3 times. That's no big deal, right? Well, the lily pads kind of have this feature where you jump on them and the momentum will carry you forward in whatever direction you're facing. So you need to rearrange them and bounce on 3 in a row with pretty large jumps in between, but we get it. We're coming to an end on the amount of exploration that we can really do around the marsh at this point. We've seen most of what there is available, but at this point we have finally tracked down the last of the radio towers that we needed to find. So after having a little talk with the person on the radio, we earned achievement number 13, Signal Received, and it's a nice message. Earlier we completed a little clothes hanging task that gave us a little flute instrument, and when we finish this wood chopping task, we get a little harp instrument, and when we play it, we get the achievement One Man Band. Now that we've wrapped up all of the radio towers that we needed to find, we can turn that quest in and then meet all of the spirits together at once under the big tree. So here they are, they talk about what they've learned from our journey and all the new lessons that they're going to take on, and now they can move on. So they float up into the sky, and we get this weird little animation where they join into this tree, and the tree grows a bunch of eyeballs. But the thing we care about is earning achievement number 15, Unchained. Also, for some reason, after that cutscene, my audio broke super bad, so I had to mute for the rest of the game. Here's a little taste of what I was hearing. It was super annoying. Yeah, so that's kind of unfortunate. This game kind of took a little bit of a hit on my opinion because that bug is just unbelievable. So at this point, I've pretty much done everything that I can in this save, so it's time to unlock the animals up in the stars that we haven't yet and talk through all of their dialogue. Now, once you've fully formed a star, they have a couple different lines of dialogue that you can talk through. They're pretty much talking at you. My favorite of these star signs is probably the monarch butterfly. I like their storyline that they're telling a little bit. And finally, once we've talked through all of that dialogue, we earn the achievement Chatty. Once we've fully formed all of the stars and talked through all of their dialogue, we get pulled through the portal and we get transported to this interesting starscape arena. So this also serves as the credits. We walk through, get a couple of the credit sequence, and then we walk up to the next pillar and talk to it to see the next group of animals. So there were 12 total animals that we collected. They get paired off into groups of 3 based on the different plots that they have going on. None of it's super serious. You could skip through all of the dialogue that's said in this game, and you wouldn't enjoy the game as much, but you would get it at least. My favorite combo of 3 here are the toad, the frog, and the bee. It's just a fun little dynamic. Also, as we're wandering through, we see 4 numbers pop up in the sky. Wonder what that could mean. And as we finally approach the end of the game, we sit down on a bench and we zoom out. We get a view of our character, who is just a kind of silhouette, I suppose. We also see our 4 bipedal animal friends that we met, and then we zoom up to that first star sign we made, earn the achievement The End, and we see that the first star sign we made at the start of the game was a net. How fitting. So, That is Paradise Marsh. We've got 3 more achievements to collect, so let's dive in. So once we enter our New Game Plus mode, our first achievement comes pretty easy. All we need to do is take a picture of one of the animals, and we earn the achievement Shutterbug. The final 2 achievements actually took a little bit more work though. I spent a lot of time wandering around looking for the specific things that I needed. But eventually we managed to track down the first thing we're looking for, the payphone. We enter that code we saw at the end credits there, 6681. Apparently this is seeded for each individual world that you make. And we get a little bit of a ring, and then the creator of the game answers. They tell us about what it's like with completion and how the process of creating this game was so difficult, always adding and adding, telling these stories, and that kind of mirrors the development of this game from what I found looking it up. Finally, we get the achievement Long Distance Call. Now we just have 1 achievement left, and it's kinda mean. We need to go pick up one of these flat rocks that we could use to skip across, skip it into one of the animals to stun them, and then we earn the achievement Stunning Technique. Kind of a mean way to take out that frog, but that is all 20 achievements of Paradise Marsh, and we have done it. So how did we do? According to Steam, I took 3.1 hours to fully 100% Paradise Marsh, and HowLongToBeat.com has it listed at about 2.5 hours, so I took a little bit more time than the average player, but that's probably because of that lily pad jump puzzle that I just couldn't figure out for quite a while. So overall, I would give this game kind of a middling review, I suppose. I think that it's doing something really interesting. There's a lot to like about this game. It's very chill, very vibey, as we went over before, and I think that if you are a fan of the genre, you could really enjoy this kind of game. What do you think? Let me know, and if you want to check it out, as always, it's linked down in the description below. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next Wednesday for the next I 100%ed video. See ya!